Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather next week, 10 days. We're going to have a look at the CFS V2 for the coming month, which takes us into the middle part of May. So we've got this colder weather on the way. We've got a lot of blocking coming up over Greenland and into the North Pole at the weekend and going on into next week as well. And this is going to bring significantly colder weather to us from the weekend and into next week. Now, this is all relative to the time. You have to keep emphasising this because we're not talking about the sort of cold you would get if this scenario, this block scenario, was to set up in January. So we're at the end of April, or we will be when this scenario starts to really kick in over the weekend and into the start of next week. We're into the latter part of April, and although temperatures will be around 4 or 5 degrees below average, which is significantly colder than average, we're not going to be talking about sub-zero daytime temperatures, severe frost, widespread blizzards, because it's just too late in the year. So we're going to be looking at temperatures around 4 or 5 degrees below average, which is significantly colder than average, of course. We're going to be looking most definitely at the risk of night frost, and that could be damaging because we're so late into the year. There's going to be a lot of plants and vegetation in the gardens, in the fields, and of course the fruit blossom is going to be at risk as well. And there will be some wintry conditions. I think we can say that with good certainty. Some places will see sleet and snow. Now, it probably won't be a widespread snowy situation, but on high ground particularly, there could be some significant snow at times, and even on lower ground, you could see some flakes of snow, particularly at the start of next week. Snow could lay on the ground, in the north particularly, and at high ground, temporarily, but when the sun comes out, it will very quickly get rid of it, because if you think about it, the sun now is about as strong as it will be in the middle part of August. So the sun rapidly strengthening and rising up in the sky. It means that as soon as the sun comes out, as soon as it stops snowing, you will find the snow is just eaten up by the sunshine. It will go within minutes or hours, depending on how much snow you've got laying. And that's true even if you get a really big dump of snow. You can still get a big dump of snow at this time of year. We had that at the end of April in 1981. I did a historic video on that several years ago. So you can get sort of several inches of snow given the right scenario at this time of the year. But it will go really quickly. As soon as the sun comes out, it will just drip and fall and go very, very quickly, just because of the strength of the sun and the fact that the air is warming as soon as the sun comes out. So all the caveats aside, it is quite a significant spell that's coming up, I think, at the weekend into next week. And I'll show you all the charts on it in a second. And then I'll say we'll have a look at CFS V2 for the coming month. But before I go on with that, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages. Have a browse widgets, click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. Thanks so much for doing that. There's video ads on most of the pages which over the content. And when you watch them, they'll close back up again. And it does help to pay for gaswebbies.com. Before I just start with the Arctic Oscillation and North Atlantic Oscillation observed and forecast chart. So the black line here is where the Arctic Oscillation has been. The red lines at the end telling us where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go. Now remember, this is an index that's reflecting the state of the atmosphere over the North Pole. It isn't a driver of anything, it's just an index that's telling you what the atmosphere is doing. Through most of the winter, this goes back into December, which is just here. Through most of the winter, Arctic Oscillation was positive, so that's one of the reasons we had a mild Atlantic-driven winter, because all the cold was locked in over the North Pole, and it meant westerlies were enhanced through the mid-latitudes. We did go very negative with the Arctic Oscillation at one point through the middle part of January, early and middle January. Went negative. So we had some blocking over the pole then, but it wasn't in a position really to give us any cold weather. We did get a bit of a cold spell, I think, around the middle of January, but nothing significant. And then the Arctic Oscillation went positive again through most of February. It stayed positive generally into the spring. But since start of April, we've been trending down. This is 1st of April just here. We've gone generally negative with the Arctic oscillation. And from the forecast part of the chart, you can see that actually we are forecast to stay pretty negative there, going through even inside of May. This is May the 1st just here, and the red lines definitely indicating negativity of the Arctic oscillation for the rest of the month. So it does look as though we're in for a lot of blocking, and that's going to be in a position to deliver us some quite cold weather relative to time of year. North Atlantic oscillation is the same idea. It's an index that reflects the state of the atmosphere in the North Atlantic this time as opposed to the Arctic. Generally, we've been very positive with the North Atlantic oscillation through most of the winter. Again, that little dip to negative with the North Atlantic oscillation in January, but it didn't last very long. It wasn't really conducive to deliver us particularly cold conditions. Generally, the North Atlantic oscillation has been in a positive phase for a very long time. But you see, again, the red lines here, which are the forecast part of the chart, that's trending negative over the rest of April. Looks like we're going to have both the North Atlantic oscillation and the Arctic oscillation indexes both negative, which tells us that the atmosphere over the pole and in the Atlantic is going to be conducive to delivering us blocked and pretty cold weather. So you can see from the temperature anomaly through the coming week, this takes us from the 19th through to 27th of April. It's going to be a cold period. We're not alone. Most of Europe is going to be significantly colder than average. So from Ireland and Portugal in the west over to Russia in the east, generally those temperature anomalies are coming out colder than average. You really have to go down to North Africa and towards Greece and Turkey to find anything warmer than average. But overall, a pretty cold looking continent for the coming week. Remember, these charts generally show red colours throughout the winter. It's generally a very mild winter across most of Europe. The precipitation anomaly is looking like this, so generally a bit drier than average, really, and you expect that when it goes cold because the air is drier, so it's generally less chance of precipitation. Although we will be under a trough of low pressure, so there will be precipitation at times, excuse me, and some of that could be quite wintry, but overall a fairly dry period coming up from the 19th through 27th. Of course, this does take into account the coming 3 or 4 days, which are going to be anticyclonic, up to weekend high pressures dominating. So once you get those out of the way, these charts probably will start to trend more unsettled. These are how the temperatures are looking then on the surface. So nice and mild for tomorrow. This is Wednesday, 20th of April, and we see the temperatures coming out into the mid-teens Celsius quite widely across the country. Maybe maximum of 16 or 17 Celsius, somewhere like South Wales or southwest England. So it could be very pleasantly spring-like, I think, tomorrow. And that goes on into Thursday as well. But Friday starts to see those temperatures beginning to lower off. So on Friday, we're looking at temperatures dropping down to around 10 or 11 or 12 degrees for England and Wales, and going down into single figures for Scotland and North East England. Bit cooler again as we go through to Saturday, and then hold temperatures around 10 Celsius on Sunday. Now, this doesn't sound dramatically cold, but keep in mind, this is the 24th of April. By this point in the year, you would normally expect temperatures to be around 14 or 15 degrees. So this is around 4 or 5 degrees colder than average. So it is significant, this. It is significantly colder than average. It's just that we're so late into the year, we're so late into the spring, that the maximums are around 10 or 11 as opposed to 14 or 15 degrees. It gets even colder into the start of next week. You see temperatures widely going down into single figures. So the north, looking at temperatures of around 3, 4, 5, 6 degrees across Scotland, for England and Wales, around 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that. So maybe 6 or 7 degrees colder than average for the time of year as we get through into the start of next week. And remember also, it's a showery air mass, so when the showers come along, the temperatures will drop further than this. These are the maximum temperatures that the model is assuming we'll get when the sun is out. But as the showers come through, temperatures drop further than these temperatures are indicating. Even colder into Tuesday, with temperatures widely down in single figures. That is very unusual for the 26th of April to see widely temperatures down into single digits, and we keep it pretty cool then as we go through into the middle part of next week. This is how the charts are actually looking. So the high pressure is centered out to the northwest of us as we go through into Friday. This is the day when we'll start to feel cooler and cloudier east to northeasterly winds beginning to roll in around that area of high pressure. And we go through into Saturday, and we keep these northerly winds coming down across the country through into Sunday. We'll bring a trough. There's a trough coming down on Sunday. It's really behind this that the coldest of the air is digging in. So, I mean, temperatures are cool on Saturday and Sunday, but it'll really be behind this trough that the wind properly goes into the north and starts to drag this cold air out of the North Pole. So by the time I get through to Monday, then we're firmly in this northerly shot of air, and if follow the isobars back, the air originates from a very, very long way north, so cold air will be plunging down across the country at the start of next week, and that continues into Tuesday. There is a trough coming down across the country Monday into Tuesday. It's this allegation in the isobars just here. That could be bringing wintry conditions with it, particularly to high ground, particularly across the north. But even in the south, I wouldn't rule out the chance of some flakes of snow from that Monday into Tuesday. And then just keep it cold, really, goes into the middle part of next week with low pressure close to the country. It'll be unsettled and showery, and a cold air mass as well. We get through to day 10, and we may just be starting to lose the intensity of the blocking a little bit by day 10, Friday the 29th of April. It's still cool though, and this area of low pressure is threatening to bring some quite heavy rain through the country. This is just before the May Day bank holiday weekend. Of course, I'll be updating the May Day bank holiday weekend. The second update will be this evening. Just have a look at precipitation type forecast from the Weather Outlook for the weekend into next week. So we have these showers coming southwards through Saturday, mainly of rain, a little bit of wintriness over high ground in the north. And then we go through into Sunday. This takes through to Sunday, and another area of rain. This is what I was talking about, moves southwards on Sunday. It's really behind this that the coldest of the air starts to dig in. So this rain comes southwards through Sunday, clears to much colder air, and then the showers turn wintry in the north and the east through into Monday, and then we get through into Tuesday, and there's further rain, sleet or snow coming through on Tuesday, and that continues into Wednesday. You notice it's not a widespread snow scenario. There's a mix of rain, sleet, snow, probably hail as well. And it'll be more or less a nowcast situation to see whether you're going to get snow. E70F is very similar. Here we go with the northeast wind as goes from Friday into Saturday, just starting to cool things down. And then into Sunday, that's when the coldest of the air digs in. Sunday into Monday. Tuesday finds us firmly in a northerly shot. Remember, there's a trough here coming southwards through the country on Tuesday. That could bring some wintry conditions to parts of the country Monday into Tuesday. And then we keep it cold through much of next week with winds in from the north. We get through to day 10, Friday 29th of April, still in a cold scenario. Again, the blocking perhaps weakening just a little bit, and these areas of low pressure in the Atlantic possibly threatening to give us maybe quite an unsettled and wet and pretty chilly bank holiday weekend. Don't want to say too much about that until this evening. Finally, have a look at the CFS V2 for the coming month. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week period. The first week period is week we're in, the 19th to 25th of April. Trough of low pressure is around Scandinavia, a ridge out to the north and west. So we know that the flow is going something like that. It's pretty cold, and after a dry start, the high pressure here is retrogressing into the Atlantic and pulling down the winds from the north. We've had a look at week 2. This is from the 26th of April through to the 2nd of May. This looks quite extreme with the blocking, a lot of northern blocking there around Greenland and going down to the Atlantic. Deep trough centre to the east. The wind is coming directly at us from the north. We're being attacked by proper Arctic air there, so it's going to be cold into April. Week 3, the 3rd through to the 9th of May. This one looks very unsettled. Deep trough of low pressure right over the country. The blocking is backing off towards Canada at this point, so the flow is probably going more towards the Atlantic. So if anything, the temperatures through the first week of May should be lifting up, but it is very unsettled. There'd be a lot of rain coming through with that. However, if you want some spring warmth, don't despair, because week 4, the 10th to the 16th of May, does promise something better. We've got the high pressure building over Scandinavia, and it's connecting to this high pressure over Spain. The trough is lifting out to the middle part of the Atlantic, which means the flow does something like that, that would start to drag in some significantly warmer air from the south and the southwest through to the middle part of May. And we see this showing up on the temperature forecast. So week 1 temperatures coming out colder than average of the coming week. Look how cold it gets as we go through to week 2. This is the 26th of April through to the 2nd of May, and we see the blue colours appearing here across the country, and most of Europe as well has those blue colours. Most temperature anomalies probably going to around 4 degrees colder than average, so significantly colder than average at the end of April and into the start of May. Week 3, still colder than average, but seeing a bit of a recovery in the temperatures then. And then finally, week 4, look at this. We go warmer than average at last. The temperatures finally from the 10th through to 16th of May starting to pick up just a bit. So that's what we're looking at. I think we're looking at a significantly colder than average period for the next couple of weeks relative to average. Going to have some nice weather for the next 2 or 3 days. Make the most of them. If you want to cut the grass or get out in the garden, do it in the next 2 or 3 days, because from Friday onwards it will start to turn cooler. Not a dramatic drop in temperature, a gradual cooling over the weekend, and then it's really from late Sunday and into the start of next week that the wind properly goes into the north, dragging down Arctic air, night frost, daytime temperatures probably about 5 degrees colder than average, and risk of some wintry conditions, mainly on high ground and in the north, but don't rule out chance of something wintry in the south and on lower ground, just temporarily as well. Well, I'll be back this evening with the May Day Bank Holiday Weekend update. That's the second one of those. Tomorrow it's a 5-day forecast. We'll look at the month ahead from Beijing Climate Centre. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.